Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Ashok Arjun Jadwal. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is a motion of system of particles. This is chapter number 3 of your FY Basic Course 1. Hope screen is visible to everyone. So let us begin with this chapter. Basically in this chapter we are going to analyze center of mass of a rigid body and its motion, definition and torque about an axis, angular momentum, relation between torque and angular momentum, moment of inertia, definition, unit and dimensions of moment of inertia, moment of inertia of a rod, ring, disc, radius of gyration, and few problems we will discuss. So let us start with the introduction. In our day-to-day, up till now, in chapter number 1 and chapter number 2, we have seen some examples like an ball, like an bat, or like any rigid object which is made up of only one particle that we have discussed. Like we are saying that if we are having one ball, then ball is one thing. We didn't say that ball is made up of n number of particles or something like that. We have not discussed in these lectures, or basically in this chapter. We are going to see how this rigid body is formed, and if you consider a rigid body is made up of n number of particles, n number of large number of particles, then we are going to analyze how the motion of the particles can be analyzed. So most of the objects that we have come across up till now, they are made up of a very small number of particles. In the various units, we studied the motion of bodies without considering their size and shape. Up till now, in chapter number 1 and chapter number 2, we have not considered any size and shape of the object. We have discussed, just considered we are having stone, we are having ball, and its motion that we have discussed. So far, we have treated even the bulk bodies as a only one point object. In this section, we will give importance to the size and shape of the object. These bodies are actually made up of large number of particles. When such a body moves, we consider it as a motion of collection of particles as a whole. But if you consider example like throwing a ball, in that case, if you consider each particle of the ball, then it basically follows some different motion. If you consider when ball is throwing, at that time that ball is basically spinning around its one fixed point, that special point, and that spinning motion is observed, as well as there is a translation motion is taken place. So we define the concept of center of mass to deal with such a system of particles. We have discussed that special point in the ball, that special point is known as a center of mass. Forces acting on these bulk bodies are classified into internal and external forces. We are having some bodies where if you consider a ball, then ball is made up of n number of particles. So in these n number of particles, we are having some forces. They should not change their position. Hence, we can say it is a rigid body. And why they are not changing their position? Because they are having some internal force acting in between these two particles of the ball. So they are not changing their position. External forces are the forces which acting on the particles outside of the system. म्हणजे बॉल जो आहे त्या बॉलच्या बाहेरून बॉल वगैरे प्रेस केलं, बॉलला थ्रो केलं, सो किंवा बॉलला बॅटने हिट केलं. So these are the external forces. And when you consider ball, then ball मध्ये जे काही particle असतील, those particles have internal forces. So in this unit we will deal with such a system of particles which make a different rigid bodies. A rigid body is the one which maintains its definite shape and size, even external force acting on it. This means that the interatomic distance do not change in a rigid body when external forces are applied. However, in real life situations, we have bodies which are not ideally rigid because the shape and size of the object may change when the forces are acting on it. So when you consider, if you hit a ball by a bat, then you might say that there is no change in the shape and size of the ball. But if you say in a slow motion, then you will realize that for a very small time duration, ball is basically get compressed, and after that it is again get expanded, and ball can be go out of the stadium. So that can be observed. So for rigid bodies we studied here, we assume that such a deformations are negligible. So I told you that for a very small duration of time, that ball changes shape from this spherical to the some elliptical shape for a very small duration. After that again that gets its original shape and size. So let us move with the first topic of our chapter, that is when center of mass. I told you that we are having, in case of if you throw a ball, then we are having one special point, and that special point is known as center of mass. When rigid body moves, all particles that constitute the body need not take the same path. If you consider a ball, then each point of the ball can be changed or can be moved by the some different path, and depend upon the type of motion, different particles of the body may take a different path. If you consider a ball, this ball is throwing, then we can say each ball is moving, and this can be moved in the forward direction also. So rotational as well as translation motion is observed in case of other examples. But if you consider the center of mass, then center of mass only follows the translation motion. For example, when wheel rolls on a surface, then the path of the center of the wheel and path of the other points of the wheel are basically different. They are not the same. If you consider rotating wheel, then each point, or if you consider the circumference of that wheel, then each point of the circumference is basically following some different path, and the center where the wheel is observed, or axle of the center, it follows some straight line path. So in these lectures, we will discuss how the center of mass is moving and what is its motion. So in this unit, we study about the translation, rotational, and combination of these motions of rigid bodies in details. So let us consider example like we are having one bat. If you consider a bulk object like a bat, and if you throw it, then you will observe that this black point, which is basically, you can say, a special point of the bat, and which follows this parabolic path. But when you throw the bat at that time, if you consider handle of the bat, then handle of the bat is basically following translation as well as rotational motion. So this means that each point of the bat is not following same path, but only one special point which follows a parabolic path. That special point is known as a center of mass of the body. So its motion is like a motion of single point, and that is a throw. So the center of mass of the body is defined as the point where the entire mass of the body appears to be concentrated. Therefore, this point can be represented by the entire body. Basically, if you consider that point, or if you consider that special point in the bat, then that point can be represented as the entire body. And other points are basically a combination of, or we can say, it is just other parts of that body. Okay. So if you consider some examples, like we are having some examples, like we are having various shapes of the objects in our nature. If you consider some geographical shapes, like in circle, sphere, or rectangle, or cuboid, or something like that, then you will observe, you might say that we are having these specific shape and size. So they are having some special points at some specific positions. And these positions are geometrical centers. If you consider circle and sphere, then center of mass is at their centers. If you consider square and rectangle, then this center of mass point is at the diagonal limit. If you consider cube or cuboid, then their center of mass is at the diagonal limit. For other bodies, center of mass can be determined using the various methods. So we'll discuss those methods. Center of mass will it can be inside the body or it can be outside of the body. So it does not it doesn't have any restriction that the center of mass should be inside the body, or we cannot say that it is outside of the body. If you consider example like a bat, then you might say that the center of mass is inside the body. It is inside the bat. But in some of the cases, you might observe that the center of mass is outside of the body. So we will discuss these examples also. So let us consider one specific case of the center of mass definition or center of mass. So that definition is, or that special case is, distributed point masses. If you consider a system is made up of n number of particles, and each particle is at some specific position vector from the origin. Like if we are having particle 1, which has a mass m1 and which is at a position r1, we are having another mass m2, which is at a specific position from origin, and that position vector is r2. Accordingly, that we will consider we are having center of mass, which is at a RCM position vector, and which has a coordinates xcm, ycm, and zcm. So if you are having such type of body, then how one can determine a center of mass? Here we have discussed these are the point particles. So what is a point particle? What is a point mass? So point mass is a hypothetical point inside the body which has a non-zero mass, and know any specific shape and size. So this is basically a definition of the point mass. So let us consider how one can determine center of mass of this given distributed point masses. We will proceed with the x component of the center of mass. If you want to determine x component of center of mass, then we have to use this relation. Then the equation of x coordinate of the center of mass is given as xcm is equals to summation over I mi xi divided by summation over I mi. So this is a just a definition of the x coordinate of the center of mass, where if you look at the denominator term summation over I mi is basically a total mass of the system. So we can write down x coordinate as xcm is equals to summation over I mi xi divided by m. Here this I can vary from one first particle to the last particle. That is I can be varied from I is equals to 1 to I is equals to n. So I can take a terms like m1. I can vary its value from 1, 2, 3, 4. Means we can write down this xcm as m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 up to mn xn divided by m. So that type of term we get for xcm. Similarly, we can find y coordinate and z coordinate of the center of mass, and this can be written as ycm is equals to summation over I mi yi divided by capital M, and zcm can be written as summation over I mi zi divided by m. So here we have determined xcm, ycm and zcm. If you wanted to know what is a position vector, then we can just use our definition of position vector. If you wanted to write down position vector, then we know that we have to write down x coordinate multiplied with I cap plus y coordinate multiplied with j cap plus z coordinate multiplied with k cap. So we are going to use that, and we can write down RCM is equals to summation over I mi xi divided by m I cap plus summation over I mi yi divided by m j cap plus summation over I mi zi divided by m k cap. So we can take this summation mi and m outside of the bracket. So we will have basically definition of the position of the center of mass, and that can be written as RCM is equals to summation over I mi ri by m, where this RCM is what? RCM is xcm I cap plus ycm j cap plus zcm k cap, and this ri is a position vector of the ith particle of the system. So I means it can be R1, it can be R2, it can be R3, it can be R4. Accordingly, we will have x1 y1 z1, x2 y2 z2, x3 y3 z3. So here we have discussed, if you are having n particle system, then how one can determine center of mass. Hope everyone got this point. Just a minute. Okay, let me give you a small recap what we have seen here. If you are having n number of particles, n point masses which has a mass m1, m2, m3 up to mn, and these masses are at a position vector r1, r2, r3 from origin. If you wanted to determine center of mass of this given distributed point masses, then we have to determine what is x component of center of mass, y component of center of mass, and z component of center of mass. And this can be determined using these relations. Xcm is equals to summation mi xi divided by mi, where summation over mi is a total mass of the particle. Hence the x coordinate of center of mass is xcm is equals to summation mi xi divided by m, where I can vary from 1 to n. Similarly, we can determine y component and z component as ycm is equals to summation over I mi yi divided by m, and zcm is equals to summation mi zi by m. Using these three components of the center of mass, we can write down RCM, that is RCM is equal to xcm I cap plus ycm j cap plus zcm k cap, and we can write using the this definition of xcm, ycm and zcm, we can write down RCM as summation over I mi ri divided by m, where ri is a position vector of ith particle, and which can be written as xi I cap, yi j cap plus zi k cap. So So we'll stop here. We have discussed this center of mass point here. We'll discuss remaining things in the next lecture. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.